I was 13 when I first saw him not as my father's best friend, but as a man. It was a silly crush at first, an innocent admiration for someone who carried himself with effortless confidence. Noah Carter was my dad's age, but unlike my father, he never settled down. He always joked about being married to his work. But I saw the way women looked at him. He was charming, handsome, and maddeningly unattainable. I kept my feelings hidden, playing the role of the sweet little girl he saw me as. But as I grew older, my crush deepened. I compared every boy I met to him, and none ever measured up. By the time I was 18, I knew I didn't want anyone else. Now, at 21, I was done waiting. It started subtly. I changed the way I dressed when he came over, nothing too obvious. Just a little more skin, a little more curve-hugging fabric. I caught his eyes lingering sometimes, but he always looked away quickly, as if scolding himself. That only made me bolder. One night, at a barbecue, I made my move. My father had stepped away, leaving us alone. I leaned against the counter, licking barbecue sauce off my fingers slowly, watching his Adam's apple bob as he tried not to look. "You've been avoiding me," I teased, my voice softer, more womanly. Noah chuckled, but it was strained. Not avoiding, just being careful. I stepped closer, feeling my heart pound. "Why?" His jaw tightened. "Because you're my best friend's daughter." I tilted my head, letting my fingers trace the edge of his sleeve. "And if I wasn't?" Noah exhaled sharply, his eyes darkening. For the first time, he didn't look away. "Then we'd have a real problem, sweetheart." A thrill shot through me. Maybe, just maybe, I was about to become the only exception he'd ever make. A slow smile curled on my lips. I stepped even closer, the scent of his cologne making my head spin. "Maybe I like problems," I whispered, letting my fingers graze his arm, testing him. Noah's entire body tensed. His eyes locked onto mine, filled with something dark and dangerous. I could feel the war inside him, a battle between desire and restraint. And for the first time, I wondered, had he ever looked at me like this before? Had he ever wanted me, even when he knew he shouldn't? His hands clenched at his sides, as if stopping himself from touching me. "You don't know what you're doing," he said, his voice lower, rougher. I tilted my head. "Don't I?" I could see his breathing change, could feel the heat between us crackling like a live wire. But just as I thought I'd won, he exhaled sharply and stepped back. "You need to stop." My stomach dropped. "Why?" I asked, my voice softer now. Noah ran a hand through his hair, looking anywhere but at me. "Because if I start, I won't be able to stop." My heart pounded. This was the moment, the line I had been waiting to cross. "Then don't stop," I whispered. Noah groaned, his control visibly slipping. But before he could answer, my father's voice boomed from the backyard. I quickly stepped away, my pulse racing. Noah shot me a look, half warning, half longing, before turning to grab a beer from the fridge like nothing had happened. But I knew now. He wanted me too. And this was only the beginning. That night, I couldn't sleep. My body still buzzed from the tension between us, from the way his eyes darkened when I stepped too close. I had spent years fantasizing about this moment, and now I knew I wasn't just imagining things. Noah wanted me too, but he was fighting it. For now. The next time he came over, I pushed a little harder. It was a hot summer afternoon, and I made sure to be the first thing he saw. When he walked through the door, wearing the tiniest pair of shorts I owned and a loose tank top that barely covered anything. "Hey, Noah," I greeted, stretching just enough to make my top rise. His jaw clenched, his eyes darting away so fast I almost laughed. "Where's your dad?" he asked, his voice gruff. I leaned against the counter, licking a drop of lemonade from my lips. "Out running errands. It's just us." A muscle in his jaw twitched. He looked like a man barely holding himself together. "You need to stop this," he muttered, rubbing the back of his neck. I took a step forward, heart pounding. "Tell me you don't want me," I challenged. "Look me in the eyes and say it." Noah swallowed hard, his fists clenching at his sides. "You're playing a dangerous game, sweetheart." I reached out, barely brushing my fingers against his arm. "What if I want to play?" His breath hitched. And then, for a split second, I saw his control slipping. His eyes dark with something raw, something he was trying so damn hard to suppress. But then he stepped back. "I can't," he said, almost like he was trying to convince himself. "You're too young. And your dad." I cut him off, frustration burning in my chest. "I'm not a kid, Noah. I know what I want. And it's you." He exhaled sharply, looking at me like I was the worst temptation he'd ever faced. Then, without another word, he turned and walked out the door. But I wasn't giving up. Not when I knew he wanted me just as badly. And the next time, I'd make sure he wouldn't walk away. Noah started avoiding me after that. If my dad invited him over, he suddenly had work to do. If I texted him, he left me on read. He was trying to put distance between us, but that only made me more determined. I had waited years for this moment, for the chance to prove to him that I wasn't some silly little girl. With a crush, I was a woman, and I knew exactly what I wanted. So I changed my approach. If Noah wouldn't come to me, I'd go to him. One Saturday evening, I found out he was at his usual bar downtown. My dad was out with some old friends, so he wouldn't be there to get in the way. I slipped into a sleek black dress tight, short, the kind that made men stare. I let my hair fall in soft waves over my shoulders, added a touch of red to my lips, and headed straight to the bar. When I walked in, I spotted him immediately. He was sitting at the counter, immersing a drink, looking as effortlessly handsome as ever. He didn't see me at first, but when I slid onto the stool next to him and crossed my legs slowly, his entire body tensed. "What the hell are you doing here?" he muttered, eyes scanning the room, probably to see if my dad was around. I smiled, tilting my head. "Having a drink." Noah let out a humorless laugh. "You don't belong here." I leaned in slightly, my fingers tracing the rim of my glass. "Maybe I belong with you." His grip tightened around his drink. "You're making this real hard, sweetheart." I bit my lip. Good. For a moment, he just stared at me, something unreadable flickering in his eyes. Then, before I could say anything else, he grabbed my wrist and pulled me outside, away from the crowd. The cool night air did nothing to cool the fire between us. Noah dragged a hand down his face, pacing in front of me like he was battling a war inside his head. "You don't get it, do you?" he finally said. "This can't happen." "Why?" I stepped closer, heart pounding. "Because of my dad. Because you think I'm too young." He let out a harsh breath. "Yes." I reached up, brushing my fingers over his jaw, feeling the tension in his muscles. "Then tell me you don't want me." His eyes darkened. "Don't do that." "Say it," I whispered, pressing just a little closer. "Tell me you don't think about me the way I think about you." For a long, agonizing moment, he just looked at me. Then, with a growl of frustration, his hands shot out, grabbing my waist and pulling me against him. "You have no idea how much I want you," he muttered against my lips. And then he kissed me. It wasn't soft. It wasn't hesitant. It was raw. Desperate, like he had spent years denying himself and finally snapped. I melted against him, my fingers tangling in his hair, my body pressing closer, needing more. But just as fast as it happened, he pulled away, cursing under his breath. "We can't," he said, his breathing ragged. I smiled, my lips tingling from his kiss. Too late. Because now that I had him, I wasn't letting go. Noah stared at me like he regretted everything, like he was ready to bolt. I wasn't going to let him. I reached for him again, but he grabbed my wrists, holding them firmly between us. "This was a mistake," he muttered, shaking his head. I arched a brow, tilting my head. Did it feel like a mistake? His jaw clenched, his grip tightening just a fraction before he let me go and took a step back, putting space between us. "It doesn't matter," he said, voice rough. "Your dad." I cut him off, frustrated. "Why do you keep hiding behind him?" "I'm not asking you to break some moral code, Noah. I'm asking you to be honest." He exhaled sharply, running a hand down his face. "You think I don't want this?" His voice was low, almost dangerous. "You think I don't wake up at night, cursing myself for the way I look at you?" A thrill ran down my spine. "But I won't do this to your father," he continued. "I won't risk what we have because you're feeling reckless." I bristled. "Reckless? That's what you think this is. What else could it be?" I took a slow step forward. "I've been in love with you since I was 13, Noah." His breath hitched, but I didn't stop. "I've kept myself for you because I knew no one else would ever compare." Noah let out a low curse, his body going rigid. "You can keep pushing me away," I whispered, reaching up to touch his chest. "Or you can admit you feel the same way. And stop pretending this isn't inevitable." He stood there, tense and unmoving, his heart pounding beneath my fingertips. Then, suddenly, he grabbed my wrist and pulled me flesh against him. "I tried," he muttered. "God, I tried to be good." I barely had time to breathe before his lips crashed onto mine, hungry and demanding. This time, he didn't pull away. Noah didn't kiss me again that night. He left me standing there, breathless and aching, while he walked away like a man barely holding himself together. I watched him go, knowing deep down I had already won. He was mine. He just needed to accept it. The next few weeks were agonizing. He kept his distance, like he was trying to prove to himself that he could resist me. But I saw the way his hands clenched when I walked into the room, the way his eyes lingered when he thought I wasn't looking. He was breaking, and I was going to be the one to make him snap. The opportunity came one late evening when my dad invited Noah over for drinks. It was just the two of them in the backyard, talking about old memories, while I sat inside, pretending to read a book. But I was watching, waiting. When my dad finally got a call and had to step inside, leaving Noah alone, I made my move. I slipped outside, my dress soft and flowing around me, barefoot on the cool grass. Noah was staring off into the distance, deep in thought, a whiskey glass in his hand. He tensed when he heard me approach. "You shouldn't be out here," he muttered, not looking at me. I smiled, stepping closer, until I was right beside him. "Why, afraid you won't be able to control yourself?" His jaw clenched. "You think this is a game?" The words hung in the air like a bomb. My mother inhaled sharply. My father went completely still. And then, suddenly, he lunged. I screamed as he grabbed Noah by the collar, shoving him back against the wall. "You son of a bitch." "Dad, stop." I yelled, trying to pull him off. But he was furious. Noah didn't fight back. He just stood there, letting my father shove him, letting him throw every insult he had. Because Noah thought he deserved it, because he felt guilty. That hurt more than anything. I finally managed to push between them. "If you want to be mad at me," I shouted. "I'm the one who wanted this. I chased him. I chose him. So stop acting like I'm some innocent little girl who didn't know what she was doing." That seemed to stun my father more than anything else. The room fell into a tense silence. My father was breathing hard, his fists clenched, his eyes burning with anger and betrayal. My mother sat frozen, tears pooling in her eyes. And Noah just looked defeated. Finally, my father turned to him, his voice deadly quiet. "If you really love her, you'll walk away." My stomach dropped. "Noah," I whispered, turning to him, begging him not to listen. He looked at me, his expression torn, but I saw it in his eyes. He was going to do it. He was going to leave. I shook my head, stepping closer to Noah, refusing to let him go. "Don't you dare," I whispered. His jaw clenched. He looked at me like he wanted to say something. But my father was still standing there, waiting, daring him to prove his love the way he saw fit by leaving me behind. Noah exhaled shakily. Then he turned to my father. "I'm sorry," he said. My heart stopped. No. But then he looked at me, and in his eyes, I didn't see regret. I saw defiance. "I'm sorry," he repeated, "but I won't walk away." My father's entire body went rigid. Noah took my hand in his, intertwining our fingers like he was making a statement, like he was claiming me right in front of them. "I tried to fight this," he said, voice steady. "I tried to do the right thing, but I love her, and I'm not going to pretend I don't just because it makes you uncomfortable." My father's nostrils flared. "You son of a..." "Dad, stop," I cut in, gripping Noah's hand tighter. "This isn't about you. It never was." Silence. My mother wiped at her eyes, still speechless. My father stared at me, then at Noah, like he was looking at strangers. Finally, he let out a bitter laugh, shaking his head. "Then I guess you've made your choice." Something cold settled in my stomach. "What does that mean?" I asked slowly. He looked at me, face blank. "It means you're not my daughter anymore." My breath caught in my throat. "Don't say that," my mother whispered. "She's our..." "No," my father's voice was firm. "If she wants to be with him, if she wants to throw away her family for some pathetic childhood fantasy, then let her." Tears burned behind my eyes, but I refused to let them fall. I had known this moment would be difficult. I had expected the anger, the disappointment, but I hadn't expected him to disown me. Noah's grip tightened around mine, grounding me, protecting me. I swallowed hard. "If that's how you feel, then I guess there's nothing left to say." My father didn't respond. And just like that, I turned, walking out of the house with Noah by my side, leaving behind the only family I had ever known. It hurt more than I wanted to admit. For days, I kept checking my phone, expecting a message from my mother, hoping my father would cool down and take back his words. But he didn't. And eventually, I realized he never would. But I wasn't alone. Noah was with me every step of the way. He held me when I cried, whispered promises into my skin, reminded me over and over that I had him, and he was all I ever needed. One night, as we lay tangled together in bed, he traced lazy circles on my bare back. "Are you happy?" he murmured. I looked up at him, at the man I had loved for so long, and smiled. "I'm finally where I belong." Weeks passed. My father never called. My mother sent a single text, "I love you, but I can't go against your father. Please be safe." I stared at the message for hours before finally deleting it. There was no going back. But moving forward wasn't as easy as I thought it would be. Noah and I had everything we wanted. We were together. No more secrets. No more sneaking around. And yet, there was something heavy between us. Something that neither of us wanted to say out loud. Guilt. I felt it every time I walked into a grocery store and caught people whispering about us. Every time I ran into an old family friend who looked at me with thinly veiled judgment. And Noah felt it too. I saw it in the way his shoulders tensed whenever my father's name came up. The way he still hesitated before touching me in public. Like some part of him still believed this was wrong. One night, I finally confronted him. We were lying in bed, his arms wrapped around me. But I could feel the distance between us. "Noah," I whispered. He hummed in response, eyes half closed. I turned, facing him fully. "Do you regret this?" His eyes snapped open. "What?" I swallowed. "Us." His expression darkened. "Don't ask me that. I need to know." He sat up, rubbing a hand down his face. "Jesus, sweetheart." He exhaled, shaking his head. "I don't regret you, but I hate that I had to choose between you and the man who was like a brother to me." My heart clenched. "You didn't have to choose. He made that decision for you." He gave me a sad smile. "I just wish things were different." I hesitated before speaking again. Would you have been happier if I had just let you go? The question was barely above a whisper, but it made his entire body go still. Slowly, he turned to face me. Never, he said fiercely. Not in a million years. Relief flooded through me, but I wasn't done. Then stop acting like we did something wrong, I said softly. His jaw clenched. I reached for his hand, intertwining our fingers. We didn't steal, we didn't lie, we didn't cheat. We fell in love. And if people want to hate us for that, let them. Noah stared at me for a long moment. Then, finally, something in his expression shifted. Acceptance. He pulled me into his arms, kissing me deeply, like he was making a promise. And for the first time since we walked away from my family, I felt free. 1 year later, my father never forgave me. My mother called a few times, always hesitant, always checking in but never truly choosing me. But it didn't matter, because I built a new life one, where I wasn't my father's daughter or some whispered scandal. I was just me. And Noah, he was still by my side, always. He never wavered, never looked back. And when he dropped to one knee a year later, sliding a ring onto my finger, I knew we had made the right choice. And I'd make it again, every single time. The day I became Noah's fiancé, I realized something I had no one to call. No squealing best friend, no excited mother, no father waiting to threaten my future husband if he ever hurt me. Just Noah. And yet, as I looked at the sparkling ring on my finger, and the way he held my hand like I was the most precious thing in the world, I knew I didn't need anyone else. Still, the world didn't make it easy. The news of our engagement spread fast. My father must have heard it from someone because a week later, my mother called. I hesitated before answering. Mom. A shaky breath. Is it true? I swallowed. Yes. A pause. Then, softly, oh, sweetheart. Something in my chest cracked. The sound of her voice pulling me back to a time when she was my safe place. But she wasn't anymore. Are you happy? She asked. I glanced at Noah across the room, watching me with quiet concern, ready to take the phone if I needed him to. Yes, I said firmly, I am. Another pause. Then, carefully, your father. He won't come to the wedding. I had expected that, but hearing it still hurt. I figured, I said, keeping my voice steady. I just thought you should know. A beat of silence. Then, before she could hang up, I asked, will you come? Her breath hitched. I knew the answer before she said it. I can't. A lump formed in my throat, but I nodded even though she couldn't see me. Okay. I love you, sweetheart. I wanted to say then show it, but I didn't. Instead, I whispered, I love you too. And then she was gone. The wedding. I didn't walk down the aisle with my father. I didn't have a mother fussing over my dress. But I had Noah standing at the altar, looking at me like I was his entire world. And when he said, I do, I knew. This was the family I chose. This was the love I had fought for. And I would never regret it. The pregnancy was supposed to be the happiest time of my life. Noah was ecstatic when I told him. He lifted me off my feet, spinning me around before kissing me breathless. We're having a baby, he whispered against my lips, eyes shining with love. And for a while, everything felt perfect. We decorated the nursery together, painted the walls a soft blue, and argued playfully over baby names. He read parenting books at night and talked to my belly every morning like our baby could already hear him. But then, at 7 months, everything changed. It started with pain sharp, unbearable. I collapsed in our living room, clutching my stomach, gasping for air. Noah found me moments later. His face went pale as he scooped me into his arms, rushing me to the hospital. Everything after that was a blur. Doctors shouting, nurses moving fast. Words like preterm labor and placental abruption filled the air. But all I could focus on was the fear in Noah's eyes. Stay with me, he begged, gripping my hand as they wheeled me into surgery. Please, sweetheart. I tried to respond, but the world faded to black. When I woke up, the room was quiet. The harsh beeping of machines echoed in my ears, my body heavy and weak. And then a voice I hadn't heard in over a year. Oh, sweetheart. My eyes fluttered open. My mother was sitting beside me, her hands gripping mine like she was afraid to let go. Tears streaked her face. Mom, I croaked, my throat raw. She let out a soft sob. I'm here, baby. I'm here. I blinked in confusion, my gaze shifting past her. And then I saw him. My father, standing in the doorway, his face unreadable. Noah was next to him, looking exhausted but relieved. And in his arms, a tiny bundle. Our son, Noah whispered, stepping closer. He's perfect. Tears burned my eyes as he gently placed the baby in my arms. I looked down at the tiny face, my heart swelling. Hi, little one, I whispered. A soft sniffle brought my attention back to my father. He was staring at me and my son, his eyes glassy. For a long moment, he said nothing. Then his voice broke. I almost lost you. And just like that, the walls crumbled. He stepped forward hesitantly, like he wasn't sure if he was allowed to be here. I swallowed hard. You walked away from me first. His face twisted in pain. I know, he admitted. And I was wrong. Silence stretched between us, heavy with unspoken words. Then, slowly, I reached out my hand. He took it. And in that moment, the past no longer mattered. It wasn't perfect. Forgiveness took time. Healing wasn't immediate. But they stayed. They held my son, their grandson, with so much love that I knew this time they wouldn't leave. And as Noah wrapped his arms around me, pressing a kiss to my temple, I realized something. I had fought for my love. Now my family was fighting for me.